Hey there, friends and enemies. Jopi here again, and today we got all the spoilers for the upcoming Avatar The Last Airbender set coming to Magic the Gathering on November 21st in just a few weeks. And I'm pretty excited about this. I didn't check out all of them throughout the day. I did see a couple teases online at various points, so I want to go over everything that I'm most excited about as I scroll through. And this set already seems to be more powerful than the Spider-Man set, so I'm assuming it's going to be much more sought after, even if you're not a fan of the original IP. And it does also seem like it's going to be a step up from that set in a lot of other regards, as far as like art goes and just the general layout of the set as well. So really looking forward to it. I'm not as excited as some of the other Universes Beyond sets. I know some people don't like Universes Beyond in general, but I think this one fits a lot better than some of the more modern Universes Beyond sets. So anyway, jumping right in, we already have a pretty solid card right off the rip with the Firebending Student. This one is a 2-drop for a 1 colorless and a red. It has prowess and then firebending X, where X is the creature's power. So essentially what you want to do is use this card for a spell slinging loop to try to cast a spell, give it +1/+1, then firebending X, and then whenever, if this creature attacks and you've already cast 2 to 3 spells, it'll now be a 3/4, 4/5, something like that. You're then going to generate even more mana to cast even more spells, and I think that's going to be a pretty fun thing to do, especially if you combine it with something that allows you to carry mana over, so that way you don't have to worry about it disappearing at the end of your turn. So very, very interesting. I do think that's a card that could be good. Same thing with White Lotus Tile. I like how a lot of these cards right off the bat look like they could be interesting. This one's a little bit more expensive at 4 mana, so it might not be as good. Plus, it enters tapped. And so, like, this one might not be as sought after, but if you have a Soul Ring or something like that, you could cast it very, very early on. And then you can tap it for add X mana in any one color, where X is the greatest number of creatures you control that have a creature type in combat, or in common. So this is obviously going to be very, very good in tribal decks where you're going to have a lot of one particular creature type. Maybe like a dragon deck would really benefit from this because you want a lot of big mana, big creatures. So that could be interesting. Earth's King Lieutenant, not a bad human soldier. Again, we're seeing a lot more allies, so you might see some of those ally commander decks pop up as well. This art here with the Fire Lord Zuko is actually part of trio of cards that I want to kind of talk about because I think that art is very, very good overall. That's another one of the spoilers that I did see. Now, Avatar, we've seen before. This is a new art. This one on the back, it looks like Cosmic Spider-Man, which is kind of funny, but also this Aang card is pretty solid. But again, anytime you're going to have 4 color cards, it's going to be fairly interesting to try to pull this off. Then we also have another Aang with Aang at the Crossroads, and then Aang Destined Savior when he flips over. Land creatures you control have Vigilance, so that could be maybe a land creature deck for that guy. And yeah, Katara the Fearless here, White Lotus Reinforcements. Some pretty solid cards overall. Sun Warriors, Hama the Bloodbender, Human Warlock there, which is not bad. Keep going. We've got Seismic Sense. The Legend cards. I like this. The Legend of Roku is not a bad saga card there. I don't know if it's going to be the most useful, but I do like that they're adding those legends. So, and then this art I think is pretty good as well. Moving on, we got Firebending Student down there in the alternate art. I like that one a lot. Fire Nation Attacks, Faded Firepower, War Balloon. So these are a lot of pretty solid cards overall. I think Faded Firepower could be very, very interesting. So enters with X fire counters on it. It's got Flash as well, costs 3 mana, and then X. If a source you control would deal damage to an opponent or permanent an opponent controls, it deals damage plus an amount of damage equal to the number of fire counters on this enchantment as well. So obviously for something like red, where you're just spewing out damage, that could be pretty solid. Cunning Maneuver there as well. We got Day of the Black Sun. Each creature with mana value X or less loses all abilities until end of turn. Destroy those creatures. That's kind of insane. Let's see. Secret of Bloodbending. This is actually a kind of fire card. for blue mana as an additional cost. To cast a spell, you may waterbend 10 you control target opponent during their next combat phase. If this spell's additional cost was paid, you control that player during their next turn instead. Exile secret bloodbending after you cast it. So this is a lesson. Again, very expensive, but very interesting. Wan Shi Tong. I've seen this one a lot. This art as well is very, very good. And I will definitely be throwing this into a board deck that I have if I'm able to obtain it. It's 1/1 for 2 blue and an X. Flash, flying, and vigilance. When Wang Shitong enters, put X +1/+1 counters on it. Then draw half X cards rounded down. Whenever an opponent searches their library, put a +1/+1 counter on Wang Shitong and draw a card. So again, punishing players for drawing extra cards, very, very nice. Or for punishing players for searching their library, which I think is always a good option. And ultimately, yeah, pretty solid cards there. I think Wan Shi Tong is a must-add for me if I can find a way to get it. We've got Momo. We've seen that before. Pretty good card. Again, Lemur Bat Ally. I like the combinations of the creatures, like a Lemur Bat. We've got other ones that we'll see here shortly as well. And I think they kind of, again, they just fit Magic the Gathering a little bit more than some of the other options that we've seen in the past. And because of that, ultimately they end up feeling more thematically fitting in a lot of different decks. Whereas like Craven the Hunter might not necessarily be as good, or like Bagel and Schmear might not fit in a deck thematically as much. We've got the Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, and Swiftfoot Boots. These are going to be in the, like a couple of the options that are in the Commander bundle that they're dropping, so you could be able to get some of these. I think you get 2 per box, so if you get like multiple boxes, you can get all of them, but that might be hard to do. Foggy Swamp Visions there. Again, as an additional cost, cast a Waterbend X. Exile X creature cards from graveyards. For each creature card exiled this way, create a token that's a copy of it. At the beginning of your next end step, sacrifice these tokens. So again, a quick change of dynamics in that one, especially, again, Waterbending X is kind of, we'll see how easy that is to pull off. We've got Soka and Suki. We've got Katar's Reversal, Gran there. This last Agni Kai is another part of the card with Firelord with Zuko. We've got this alternate art. I like this art better for Aang at the Crossroads. That's the one I would hope to get. Oh, and then Firelord Azula is the final one for this art set. I want all 3 of those because I think it'd be pretty sick overall. Azula Cunning Usurper as well. Tiger Seal, this is what I was talking about. This is a cat seal creature. So again, if you're running a cat deck or if you're running a seal deck, I don't think those exist right now, but I do think there's options there to make it somewhat interesting and add them to decks that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. But overall, these are cards that I think are not bad. Some of these art that we're getting to now, I think are pretty good overall. Fire Nation Drill is kind of insane. So it's a legendary artifact vehicle, 2 colorless and 2 black, trample 6/3. When the Fire Nation Drill enters, you may tap it. When you do, destroy target creature with power 4 or less. For 1 mana, permanents your control lose hexproof and indestructible, or permanents your opponent's control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So this is very valuable even without crewing it at all, which I think is very, very interesting and more likely to be used than a lot of other vehicles that you see. This Ozai, the Phoenix King, is kind of wild art. Both of them I think are pretty good overall. Trample, Firebending 4, and Haste 7/7. If you lose unspent mana, that mana becomes red instead. Ozai has Flying and Indestructible as long as you have 6 or more unspent mana. So yeah, I mean, you can make him pretty insane, but again, he's very, very expensive at that 6 mana cost. Daily Agents, we got Ozai, the Phoenix King again in that art. Lion Turtle, again, Elder Cat Turtle, so could be interesting. A 3/6 for 1 a colorless or green and a blue. With Vigilance and Reach, when the Lion Turtle enters, you gain 3 life. The Lion Turtle can't attack or block unless there are 3 or more lesson cards in your graveyard. Tap it to add 1 mana of any color. So essentially, it's a mana rock unless you have essentially a legend deck or a lesson deck. Then we got Iroh Grand Lotus. I think this is going to be a very good commander. Not one that's going to be like broken, but especially casual commander. It costs 3 colorless, a red, blue, and a green for firebending 2 during your turn. Each non-lesson instant and sorcery card in your graveyard has flashback. The flashback cost is equal to that card's mana cost. During your turn, each lesson card in your graveyard has flashback 1. So these two would actually pair together very, very well to make like a lesson / instant sorcery deck. We got another Sokka here with Tenacious Tactician, Firelord Azula over here. Again, some of these arts, like as somebody who's not even necessarily tied to the Avatar franchise, I think some of the art on these look very, very good. Legend of Kuruk, this is another one of those saga cards. Water Tribe Rallier, Boiling Rock Rider, some of these more common cards here. Then we've got Ran and Shaw. This is a dragon with flying, firebending 2. When Ran and Shaw enter, if you cast them and there are 3 or more dragon or lesson cards in your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of Ran and Shaw, except it's not legends. And then tap 3 colors and a red for dragons you control, get +2/+0. If you missed it, I've recently made a Tiamat deck. I do believe I'm going to be adding this to that for sure, because it does sound very, very interesting if I'm able to get a hold of one of them. This card, I think, is very good. Badger Mole Cub, colorless and a green for a 2/2. When this creature enters, Earthbend 1. Whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional green. So, could be very, very good. I think it's a very solid overall, like small card that should be added to a lot, especially if you have a deck that is going to be tapping a lot of creatures for mana to try to get bigger creatures or whatever the case may be. Cave of Two Lovers. This is a saga, which sounds pretty funny. Again, this is going to be really good for like an ally deck if you want to get as many allies as possible. So could be interesting there. The Cycle of Renewal is fine. Sparring Dummy. Guru Pathic as well. Crescent Island Temple. So we're gonna have a bunch of shrines, I think, in this one. So you definitely want to make some plans to add some shrines as your land bases for some of your decks. Solstice Revelations. Ahsoka Swordmaster. This is an all-white Ahsoka with Vigilance. Equipment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each ally you control. Again, ally deck. At the beginning of combat in your turn, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to Ahsoka. There's Wan Shi Tong again, Azula, Avatar Roku, Fang, Roku's companion, another dragon. So I think that looks actually sick. Yeah. And you see these are the alternate cards with the glider there. Yeah. So Fang is 3 colorless and a red. Flying whenever Fang attacks, another target legendary you control gets +X/0 until end of turn, where X is Fang's power. When Fang dies, if he wasn't a spirit, return this card to the battlefield under your control. He's a spirit in addition to his other types. That's kind of insane. Avatar Roku looks very, very good as well. Whenever a player attacks, add 6 red mana. Until end of combat, you don't lose this mana as end steps. Yeah, that's kind of insane. Yeah, so then we've got High By, the Forest Guardian, which is a bear spirit. Yeah, a lot of these cards look very good. Avatar Kyoshi, so we're going to have multiple avatars. We've got Toph, Earthbending Master as well, Landfall. So whenever a land you control enters, you get an experience counter. Whenever you attack Earthbend X, where X is the number of experience counters, target land you control becomes a 0/0 creature with haste, and it's still a land. So if you're doing a land deck, if you're doing a landfall deck, could be very, very good. Fairy Confluence. Then we've got Descendant's Path. Let's see, the Lion Turtle again. Energy Bending. Instant lesson lands you control. Gain all basic land types until end of turn. There are certain ways that can be very, very valuable. Now, these are the most controversial cards that I've seen, like this art where they're just taking scenes from the show and just printing them right on the card, and the way the art fits, like here, this Mystic Remora could be excellent, except for it's kind of covering up one of the fish here, so that's kind of weird, and I don't necessarily like that. Same thing with this Cruel Tutor. Like, this just looks weird. Like, I want this card but not like this art at all. That's kind of weird for sure, in my opinion. Dragonfly Swarm there. Let's keep it going. Legend of Kuruk, North Pole Patrol, Leaves from the Vine. Again, lots of sagas and stuff like that. These are all like uncommons and everything. I'm gonna probably do top 5 mythic, top 5 rare, top 5 uncommons. I think I might do that for this set. Like the 5 that I'm most looking forward to adding to my collection, because I do feel like there's a lot in this set that I'm looking forward to. Even though, again, I wasn't the most excited about this set because I'm not a massive Avatar fan, I do like. Just think a lot of these cards will fit in some of the decks that I already have. So, let's see. These are just alternate arts for sure. Ty Lee Chi Blocker. We've got the Mechanist. And that's about it. Release to Memory, I think, is a good card here. If you don't know this from the show, again, I'm not super familiar, but I'm familiar enough to know that that's a pretty interesting card. So, lots of interesting cards, like I said. I think there's some here that I'm definitely going to be chasing. I think overall, this set is a lot stronger, a lot more complete than the Spider-Man set. So for that reason, I think it's going to be a lot more sought after. I don't think it's going to be as wanted as the Final Fantasy set. I think that's still the bar that has yet to be reached by Universe Beyond, even though this is only the second set following it, so it's going to be early days. But I think even with all the sets next year, it'll be hard for any to surpass Final Fantasy. They haven't shown one off that I think is going to reach those heights. And I could be wrong. We'll have to see once the cards come out and we get hands-on and we start playing with them, how it plays in Standard, how they play in draft formats, how they play in Commander. So, again, we'll see. I do think there's very interesting and reasons to be excited about the set. I'd love to hear from you guys. Now that we've gotten so many of these cards revealed, which ones are you excited about? Are you looking forward to the set? Why or why not? Let me know in the comments down below. Like the video as always. Comment, subscribe. Have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.